Medical procedures are always a scary thing to have, even under the guise of a very well-known, reliable medical professional, but you just never really know how reliable a doctor can be. But just imagine being operated on by a doctor that ended up being labelled Dr. Death. In today's video, I'm going to shed some light on Australia's very own Dr. Death, and he only worked in a town just an hour from where I live. Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. If you don't know what's going on here, I'm a horror artist and I like to draw what I talk about in the videos. Nothing in this video is meant to be insensitive to anyone mentioned, but if you are a sensitive person, recommend not watching any of my content and probably going to a channel that is more suited to your emotional needs. With that being said, let's get on with the video. So the doctor in question is a man by the name of Jayant Patel. Now Patel is an Indian-born American surgeon born on the 10th of April 1950 in Jamnagar, Gujarat, India, and became infamous for the absolute gross negligence he performed working at the Bundaberg Hospital in Queensland, Australia. When he got older, he studied surgery at the MP Shah Medical College at Saurashtra University, obtaining a master's degree. He then moved to the US to further his education at the University of Rochester School of Medicine as a surgical intern and resident in surgery. In 1984, Patel got his New York State health license withdrawn after failing to examine and assess patients before surgeries. He was placed on a 3-year clinical probation and fined $5,000 US. He was residing in Buffalo, New York at the time. In 1989, he started working in the Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Portland, Oregon, and was allegedly named as a Distinguished Physician of the Year. In 1995, Patel started to become a real problem. He would operate on other surgeons' patients, causing injury and death as his operations were unnecessary and not performed properly. He also performed surgeries when he wasn't supposed to be working. Kaiser Permanente restricted him in 1998, and he was to consult other surgeons before performing another surgery. In 2000, he was involved in the deaths of 3 patients, so the Oregon Board of Medical Examiners assessed Patel, and they made his restriction statewide. In 2003, Patel moved to Australia and became the Director of Surgery at the Bundaberg Hospital after fabricating his resume to hide his disturbing past and making himself out to be more qualified than he was. Because Queensland Health had employed him, he had to be part of an overseas doctor program that sees doctors trained overseas going into regional and rural areas. Between 2003 and 2005, Patel was allegedly responsible for at least 87 deaths of roughly 1,200 patients he treated. 30 of those patients died directly under his care. This is when nurses started calling him Dr. Death. Nurses would hide patients from him when he was rostered on so he wouldn't go near them and harm them. Patel apparently had poor hygiene and sloppy surgery procedures. In 2005, Stuart Copeland was the Queensland Shadow Minister of Health at the time, reported Patel to the Queensland Parliament. A nurse, Tony Hoffman, from the Bundaberg Hospital, was a whistleblower against Patel and was the one that notified Copeland. This is when Patel's name got out into the newspapers and started reporting his malpractices. Then the news outlets started to be inundated with patients that had an encounter with Patel. Because his malpractices started going viral, he decided to do a runner and hop on the first plane back to Portland, Oregon. In November 2006, an Australian magistrate ordered the arrest of Patel and made a warrant out for his arrest. This meant that Patel had to be expedited back to Australia to face his fate of 3 charges of manslaughter, 5 charges of grievous bodily harm, and 4 charges of negligence to cause harm and death, and 8 counts of fraud. An independent surgeon named Peter Woodruff went through and examined all of Patel's surgeries, and he believed that Patel was responsible for causing 13 deaths and 31 serious complications where patients were maimed and suffered injuries that will last them a lifetime. 2 Australian police officers were waiting at the Lax airport on the 19th of July 2008 to escort Patel back to Australia via Qantas. They arrived in the Brisbane airport on the 21st of July 2008 and was taken off the plane straight into a Brisbane watch house, but he was granted bail the next day. Jayant Patel was found guilty on the 1st of July 2010 of unlawful killing of 3 patients and serious harm to a 4th. He was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment, but both Patel and his legal team made 2 appeals, but both appeals were dismissed. Patel made an appeal in the High Court of Australia on the 24th of August 2012, and he was granted release to attend that appeal. The High Court found that there was not enough evidence to convict him, and there was no concrete evidence that he caused those deaths, so the High Court ordered a new trial. In 2013, a retrial was done, and the jury acquitted him, and all charges were dropped. In exchange of him pleading guilty to 2 counts of dishonesty, gaining employment, and was sentenced to 2 years suspended sentence of fraud. On the 15th of May 2015, Queensland Civil and Administrative Tribunal in Australia banned Patel from ever practicing medicine in Australia ever again due to deceiving his workplace, bosses and staff that he was a competent doctor, and also performing surgeries that he was not competent to do or was never trained to do. But a lot of victims and victims' families say that there was no justice in the end, and I agree. Patel showed no remorse in what happened with his patients, the trail of lies, deaths and horrendous actions. After the trials, he made a statement outside the courthouse saying, "I'm pleased that it's over and I will be going back to my life and work." He then follows with, "In the season of giving thanks, I would like to thank my legal team for the exceptional work they did. I would like to thank the hundreds of well-wishers that I don't even know that stopped me in the streets and gave me words of encouragement and wished me well. Finally, I would like to thank all my family and friends for their selfless and unconditional love and support." Nearly makes you sick, doesn't it? He goes on to live the rest of his life, and the ones that he destroyed physically and mentally have to live with what he did. After this lengthy trial that went on for several years, Patel got on a plane and flew back to the US to be with his family in Oregon. We can only hope he is not working again in the US. Right now, as of 2023, Patel is 73 years old. So let me just give you a little taste and a little rundown of some of the things that Jayant Patel did to his patients. An Aboriginal woman had her leg amputated due to diabetes, and he didn't go back to see her. He forgot about her. 6 days later, she was discovered semi-comatose and gangrenous. He did heart surgery on a man who was allegedly screaming while Patel was operating on him because he was not anaesthetized properly. He operated on a cancer patient despite the person being way too weak and sick to handle it, and they died on the operating table. He failed to detect breast cancer in one woman, and he repeatedly punctured vital organs during surgeries, causing internal bleeding. Now, the senior nurse who I spoke about before, Tony Hoffman, at the time of Patel's employment, said that people were dying daily under his supervision, and there was nothing that they could do. Now, I remember this case because, like I said, Bundaberg is only about an hour and 20-minute drive from where I am. So, yeah, it was all over our local news here. And, yeah, I remember it pretty damn clearly about this guy and the people that came out on the news telling everyone what he had done. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this? I don't know if you guys overseas know about this story. Like, this guy is apparently living in Oregon in the US. So, yeah, it's quite scary, and I'm hoping that he's like fully retired, not doing anything anymore. And he didn't do anything when he went back to hurt more people. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this, and if you know of any other doctors, because I know there's a few doctors around the world labelled Dr. Death, but this guy was our was our Dr. Death. So the illustration that I decided to do for this video today was of a plague doctor. That was the first thing that sort of popped into my mind, and someone who is a bit evil and is basically trying to sew someone up because they think that they have fixed them and they are all good, but clearly the poor person or thing that is on the ground beside this plague doctor is not okay, and I don't think the amount of sewing up is going to save this person. And I just wanted to represent this guy's complete malpractice and complete negligence with this illustration. This just, to me, is just sums up this guy and what he did to people. So yeah, I actually like this illustration. I'm starting to feel a lot better again. For those of you who don't know, I went back on antidepressants, and sort of screwed me up a bit because I started too high again. I should have went to the doctor first and got some advice, but I didn't because I couldn't get into a doctor straight away. And made my own decision to go back on 10 milligrams of Lexapro, which was way too high to start back on, and it caused me complete anxiety. My anxiety for nearly a whole month was hitting my rev limiter, and I had to get, when I did go back to the doctor, she gave me calming tablets, and I've been taking calming tablets up until about 3 days ago. I'm still not fully right, but I'm a lot better than I was, and the anxiety has gone down, which is good. I still got some worrying thoughts, but other than that, I am doing okay. And my drawing is starting to get back to a place that I like. So anyway, that is it from me. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. Dislike it, don't care. It all goes towards the algorithm to push me up further for people to see me. And watch the rest of this video, whatever is left, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!